Well, we have a change of scenery here. It's been very interesting and wonderful to travel across the United States of America. It was wonderful to visit Canada and to notice the differences in terrain and water. There's no dearth of water on the East Coast. I'm here to testify to that. We're up in Canada where I was visiting in Ontario. But here, if you don't have water, you're basically dead. And so people have fought over water, people have killed over water, and that'll happen again here in the desert and the Southwest. One of the best things about this trip is just to see how huge America is. I couldn't believe how much corn I saw back in the Midwest and Northeast and up in Canada. It's just like millions of acres of corn. Amazing. And of course it's inefficient to feed it to cows and that. So that's why I think it's good to eat meat sparingly and focus on fruits, vegetables, live foods, not dead foods. But it's really interesting to come out here and see the desert. It's got a stark beauty to it. And I just think about the people, my own roots go back to Oklahoma, Grapes of Wrath. And my family, my dad grew up in a family they were pickers. They just came out to California to pick. Lived in a tent, shot squirrels, ate mustard greens. And I guess it's just in my blood. Survival and living off the land is in my blood. And I kind of have a double whammy because, looking at the financial system, it really doesn't have to do anything with rainfall and life and things like that. It really doesn't. So it's kind of interesting how the financial system and banks and central banks can essentially control the whole world. And so there's kind of a continuum. You can be independent. It rains and like back east. I saw thousands and thousands of farms when I was flying in and also driving back. So, it's pretty easy to be self-sufficient there. You can get water, but it's harder to be self-sufficient as far as water goes out here in the West. As far as isolation and hiding places, I talk about the Rocky Mountains a lot, but you really can't feel it unless you're out here where there's thousands of miles and nobody, not one person. The reason I shot all these videos is because it does have to do with the financial markets, whether people believe it or not. But if you buy stuff at the store, if you use paper money or any kind of money, you are, to some extent, dependent on the financial system, whether you know it or not. You just are. The only way you're not dependent on the financial system is if you don't use any money, you grow your own food, you trade, you share with people that are local. And that's why there's this big movement to buy local, grow local. And I encourage that. And it's good. It's good. You can even say it's good for the environment. It is. But out here, this land here, well, it's kind of weird, but in Utah, 85% of Utah is owned by the federal government. So there's not a lot of private property in Utah relative to the East Coast and other places. But I'm going to get my garden going, even if it's in buckets, and it's time to realize that the system is in trouble. And I'm going to dive into the papers and the financial markets and just make a proof of that, present the case, because I did that 3 years ago, and some people still have doubts about. They think that it can come back. And I hear Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck, all these guys talk about, well, yeah, American entrepreneurship can bring it back. American ingenuity. We believe in Americans. We can do it. Well, when there's trillions of dollars of debt and this oppressive government continues to... No, we can't do it. We can't do it under this system. It's just basic logic, math, and a lot of people feel it intuitively. Not only do I feel intuitively, but financially, it's just so obvious. And some people don't get it, but a lot of people just don't want to get it. They don't want to think about the financial system continuing to head down. Markets went down a lot while I was in Canada. I have a lot to review, and I'm just going to dive into the financial system. But I know the conclusion of that because I already know it for myself. It's just kind of explaining it to some of those that don't get it, that hopefully will get it, or that I would still like to get through to. But independence, an independent economy is where it's at. And so whether you're in Mississauga, Toronto, upstate New York, New York City, Argentina, España, Francia, donde sea, wherever you are, just get more independent. I was listening to a Christian radio station, and this gal had been over in Africa, and she was talking about just, kids starving, and they're just lush green everywhere. And it drives me nuts, too, because there's so many wild edibles. In fact, I was in Denver, and there was a guy begging by the side of the road. I saw him, and there was Doc right next to him. I didn't get a chance to say anything. He had head plugs on. I couldn't talk to him. But there was, and that's my favorite wild edible, Doc. It was right there next to him, and I just thought, wow. I wanted to tell him, but he had headphones on, so I couldn't say, hey, you got great food right there next to you. Sigh. Yeah, that's sigh after I cross the United States. Anyway, it's been great from my perspective. I'm grateful for the freedom to travel. And the United States is a great country, but when you choose the wrong form of government, you can collapse even this great country. And that's where it's headed. That's where it's headed. Those rocks don't care. The rabbits, I saw this cute little lizard. They don't care. But the financial system will affect everybody in the world that uses paper or electronic currency to make purchases. Everybody in the world. Okay, back to civilization, but what a wonderful trip it's been. What a wonderful planet this is. I love it.